the Dork Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the Dork Podcast. Keefe Davey. It's the Dork Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag Dork Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is R. Von D. All hail the king of ginger ale, Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
I'm pretty excited tonight, Rich.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. And let's bring in our guest here. I'm thrilled to bring in a guy who checks all the boxes for the Hashtag Dork Podcast. He is an actor. He is a writer. He's a producer. He's a former wrestler. He's now in the world of comic books. He's been in video games. He's literally everything that we talk about on the show. He's Tyler Main. Tyler, thank you so much for taking the time, and welcome to Hashtag Dork.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
You really are the perfect guest for this show. I think many of our listeners will know you from a variety of roles. Maybe first and foremost, Sabretooth, which in 2000, the X-Men movie, early on in the comic book movies for at that time, there hadn't been too many of them, and X-Men comes along and it's a smash success. We loved it. Can you tell us about how you got that role, how you got into it, and just sort of your experiences working on the original X-Men movie?
Yeah, man. They were originally wanting to talk to me for the stunt actor for Sabretooth, and I was like, okay, well, what's that going to involve? Because I wasn't a stunt guy. I wrestled professionally. And he was going, yeah, how are you with a decelerator? We're thinking about dropping you 120 feet. And I'm like, wait, what? I guess so, And then he ended up showing, the stunt coordinator actually showed my picture to Bryan Singer, and he said, I want to see this guy for Sabretooth. And the rest is history, and ended up doing the role, and it's been great ever since.
Well, you definitely fit the physical role of Sabretooth, which I was going to say. So someone your build going down on a decelerator must be a lot of work for you and the machine.
Yeah. Luckily, I didn't have to do it. And, my stunt double, Troy Brunna, at the time did it, and he's still messed up today. His back is still messed up. So I kind of dodged a bullet on that one. Thank you, Troy, for taking one for the team.
And I mean, that's your first major movie role, and you're in there with Halle Berry and like Patrick Stewart and some of these like big time legendary. Hugh Jackman, I think, wasn't nearly as famous as he would become. I mean, we've talked about on this show before about how when he got cast, we were kind of unaware of who he even was, and now he like is Wolverine. But quite a cast for your first movie.
Yeah, working alongside Ian McKellen, man. I learned a lot from him. He was great. In between takes, we'd just be sitting there, and then I just talk to him about the business and pick his brain and stuff. And, he gave me some of the best advice. He said, less is more, my dear boy, less is more. And always check for boogers because they're really big on the big screen. So,
good advice.
It was great advice. It was great advice. Especially, we were at the premiere, and he noticed on screen that he had when he turned, I was sitting right behind him at the premiere. He goes, see what I'm talking about?
That's crazy. Now I'm going to have to rewatch that whole movie again and look.
I know. You're going to be looking for a booger.
Yeah. I'm curious, Tyler, with like the way the MCU was and like all the stuff and like, made like the studios and like the deals with Disney and Fox. And like, as that was going on, and then you hear about Deadpool, and then you hear about how, all right, they're now going to fold that whole universe that you guys were in into, the MCU. Were you thinking at any point like, hey, I might pop up in one of these things? Because then you come back in Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the biggest movies of the year a year ago. Was that something that was kind of on your radar, or was that a bit of a surprise to you?
It was kind of a surprise. You're always hoping. You're like, oh, boy, I'd love to really dive into that role and go a little deeper and, expand the character. And, of course, I get the call, and Sean says, hey, you want to be Sabretooth again? I'm like, hell yeah, And he goes, but it's going to be quick. It's going to be short. I'm like, okay, what can you say,
Yeah.
It's like,
but
part of it was amazing,
Yeah.
Well, I guess just as fans, we loved, seeing you come like the kid you back in that role again was like, because I think, it was like 2000. So we were teenagers at the time. And, that was a kind of a huge, for lifelong comic book fans, like it was a huge moment, like for all of us. So to see that come kind of full circle was huge, for people like, so it was, as brief as it was awesome.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Everybody says, "Oh, it's Sabretooth." Oh, there he goes. Yeah. But that was part of the comedy, and it was all, it was great. Yeah. But it was just fantastic being back on set and seeing Hugh, I saw him across the quarry and we both just kind of ran each other, give big hugs, and it was like no time had passed.
Yeah.
And it was just fantastic to be on there. It was short and sweet. I was on set for probably about a day, and that was it.
So Hugh Jackman, at least, from the outside, seems like the nicest guy in the world. And you're basically confirming is that the case?
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah.
Great.
Sabretooth, not the only iconic character you, of course, have played. This fits in perfectly for Dorktober here, all the horror movies that we're rewatching this month. Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2, you portray Michael Myers. First, I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan. His music, his movies, like all of it in between. How did that relationship begin, and what's it like working with Rob Zombie?
Yeah, I originally auditioned for The Devil's Rejects for the role that Dallas Page did. And I was like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't get that. But Rob had a bigger plan because he was looking at me to replace Rufus from The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Little did I know, so I get a call a couple weeks later, after you do an audition, you think, oh, well, shit, it didn't work out, whatever. And you get a call and they're like, hey, Rob wants you to be Rufus. And I was like, okay. No problem. Got to meet Rob 4 days on set. If you've seen that, I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be destroying any spoilers. I die before the credits. Take one for the team to let the Firefly family get away. And I thought, okay, great, that's it. We're done. And a couple of years later, the phone rings and it's Rob, and he says, "Hey, I'm doing this movie. And if you don't do it, I want to do it. It's Halloween. I want you to be Michael Myers." And he explained how he's going to tell the backstory, how he's going to make him a product of his environment, and turn him into a three-dimensional character from a one-dimensional character. I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's do it. And we ended up doing two,
Yeah. So my question about that is like, not to draw parallels between the two, but like, Hayden Christensen talks about the first time, like he put on like the Darth Vader costume and like walked out on the set and watching people react to him. Was there that moment you put that mask on, you put that costume on and walk out? And like, as an actor, I'm always curious about like everyone's process and like, what was that like to like kind of physically go into that and like walk out and have people like react to you, like seeing you? Was that weird?
It's a little surreal. I mean, I'd done all my research. I watched all the Halloween movies except for Halloween 3, which was Season of the Witch, where he doesn't even appear. So I was like, whatever. And then I did my research of actual serial killers to see how they interacted in society. And so I was very prepared when I went in there and kind of knew what I was wanting to do and what Rob was wanting me to do. But you walk on set and then, Wayne Toth had put the mask on and the props guy'd hand me the knife. And once you get that knife handed to you and it's like, you're ready to go,
Yeah.
What I mean? It's like,
and I was wondering what that was like.
Yeah. And then when we did it on the second one, it was just like, okay, now we're ramping it up a bit. And he handed me the big Bowie knife and was like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And that was my whole thing. Cause I said to Rob, I don't want to just do the same thing that we did the last time. We got to ramp it up a bit, cause I just don't like when you do the same thing. It's,
Right.
And he says, yeah, we're going to make it more intense and get into his head and get into everybody's head. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Here we go.
Yeah.
How long were you on set for Devil's Rejects? Like how many days were you working for Rob Zombie at that point before you went on to Halloween?
Yeah, just 4 days.
4 days. So that was quick. So you only, I mean, you got a sense of the process, but then Halloween 2. I mean, you are a central figure in those movies. So yeah, you get to be there a lot more. I'm curious, how much of like the action scenes in those movies are you kind of getting physical with the real actors versus getting physical with like the stunt people?
I think most of the time it was the real actors.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I mean, through my 11 and a half plus years of pro wrestling, I know how to take care of people and make it look, you know, vicious without hurting anybody. But yeah, I mean, it was them that I was chasing and slamming around.
Great.
Yeah.
Speaking of your wrestling career, so this is pretty amazing. I don't know if you watched Dark Side of the Ring at all. And Davey and I have watched Dark Side of the Ring, the documentary. And there's one about Herb Abrams. It's called Cocaine and Cowboy Boots from the UWF. You're laughing. You were one of the UWF champions at that time. So I was a wrestling fan in the 90s, but I'll be honest, I was more WCW, WWF going back and forth. So I was unfamiliar until the documentary with UFW. And what a wild story that was. What was your time like in the UFW? What was your time like with Herb Abrams?
The UWF?
Yeah.
Herb was a piece of work, man. I mean, that was it was just uncontrolled chaos. It was, I mean, just the stupidest stuff would happen, you know. And then I went in there. That was I won the championship. That was the only match I ever did for the UWF. Won the MGM Grand Championship, and right after it had my belt stolen. So I'm like, I don't even have my damn belt. But technically, to this day, I am still the MGM Grand Champion.
I didn't look at that.
How do you like that?
You're a champion, right?
So what did you have the belt stolen from? Like literally stolen, like from your hotel or something?
No, it was like stolen from either backstage or something. I mean, I had it and he took it away from me, and then it was gone. I was like, whatever. Okay.
Oh wow.
But technically, I'm still
champion. That's gonna be one of the longest reigning champions. Then
the MGM Grand Champion. Yeah, right.
You have to be.
Yeah.
Right. I have to ask you now too. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm sensitive to your time, but I need to ask this, or I would never forgive myself. So by day, I am a Latin and Greek teacher. And so I have to ask you about Troy and your portrayal of Ajax and like the research, like what that experience was like. And, like I said, as a teacher and I teach the Iliad and the Odyssey in Greek. So like I have kids translate it. So,
so then as you know, King Ajax outlives Achilles in
correct
in the Iliad. Well, I guess I'm just not as popular as Brad Pitt. So
I was, and I need you to know that as someone who has read that book several times over, that I was very upset. And then when the siege of Troy, that you weren't there, because Ajax was very much there. So, so I was very upset. I need you to know that, like from someone who's,
well,
like that again. I mean, it must be surreal. I mean, again, just to be in the room with like Brad Pitt and stand literally next to him and like do these crazy, battle scenes and all that stuff. So, just kind of walk me through that. Like, what was your process like for that? And like, kind of like a sneaky, deep character in Ajax that, not a lot of speaking lines in either the Iliad or the Troy movie, but like kind of a really important character.
Yeah. I mean, the audition process for that was crazy. I think I saw Wolfgang like 3 times. I auditioned for that, and they'd gone all over the world trying to find Ajax. And, luckily I landed with it. And, I don't use the word epic loosely, but I mean, just being on those sets, it was epic. That was the biggest production that I've been on to date. There's just tons of soldiers everywhere. The armory was just crazy, outfitting these soldiers and stuff. And just the places that we were, I mean, we trained for the fight in front of the gates of Troy in Malta for like 3 months before we actually went to Cabo and then filmed that that scene, and just going out there and standing there and just looking at the gates of Troy, you're like, wow, this is crazy, you know?
Right. So I get, do you find yourself in like in productions like that, just kind of hanging out more than you normally would just to watch, you know, if you're not in a scene, do you like just like watch what's going on or?
Yeah, you know, I'll sit there and watch. I'll sit, you know, with the director sometimes and watch what they're shooting and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, I mean, my trailer was right next to Brad's, and so we just sit out and talk and stuff, and smoke cigars and just wait to go to work, you know, type of thing, because there's a lot of downtime in those
I
big.
was like in Cabo, that sounds terrible. That sounds like a terrible time that you had hanging out with Brad Pitt, smoking cigars in beautiful locations.
Yeah, that sucked. Life's rough.
Yeah, right.
Another movie you did, perhaps not the budget of Troy, was a movie that you did, that you wrote, and that would be Compound Fracture. Came out in 2013. It's on Tubi right now, and I think gotta be a thrill for a lot of horror fans, because you co-star in it along with Derek Mears, who has been Jason Voorhees, and Muse Watson, who everybody knows is the fisherman, and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
So like, how much of that were like you guys just being aware of the fact that like you guys have all played these iconic horror roles? You know, that's sort of like a side topic, because you know you don't play those characters in this movie, but like it is just something cool for the viewer to, as like a giant horror fan, to see all you guys share a screen.
Yeah, you know, I mean, in the back of your mind, you're going like, hey, this is really cool, you know.
Yeah.
But Derek and I are buddies. You know, we live, when we were living in LA, we lived like about a block and a half away from each other, so we'd hang out all the time. And the way I got him to get in the movie, I said, hey, you want to fight me, because he's a martial artist. And he goes, what, you want to spar? I go, you fight me in a movie. And he goes, oh, you ass, okay.
Like, all right, fine, I'll do it.
That would have scared me if he was like, I never really want to ask anybody that question, because they'll be like, yes, absolutely do. They've been thinking about it for a long time. Like, I don't think I want the answer to that question, but brave of you. Good job.
Bouncing around here a little bit, but you mentioned your wrestling days. You were also in WCW, and you were paired up with Vinny Vegas, who most people would know either as Diesel or Kevin Nash. You guys were a tag team. What do you remember the early? Do you even keep up with Kevin Nash anymore? And what was he like back in the early 90s?
Yeah, he was a great dude. We just hung out, and we were both over in Scotland at a convention, so we got to hang out again and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, we were both, I was way greener than he was back then, but we were put together, and then he went on to be Diesel, and I went on and continued international wrestling, and did a lot of wrestling in Mexico and Japan and places like that before the X-Men came along. And you know, just we kind of both went our different ways, and I was focusing more on the acting side.
Yeah, and he's been in a bunch of movies too.
He's done a lot. Yeah. And we were talking that we should do something together and stuff like that, but he stuck it out and spent way more time in the ring. Like, we were comparing our operations. I think he's had like 36 operations, you know, elbows, knees, everything. I've only had 3. So, you know, I'm good.
Well, and now you see too, like almost the pipeline that wrestling has become for Hollywood, where, I mean, The Rock might win Best Actor this year for The Smashing Machine. John Cena's in a bunch of these monster movies. You got Dave Bautista has been in a lot of incredible movies so far. So it's more common, and it's all different kinds of roles too, like that wrestlers are taking on now, which is great to see.
Yeah. You know, it back in the day, it was like there was very few people that were doing it, and I knew that I wanted to do the transition, and you know, I did it back in '99 when I did the X-Men. I hung up my wrestling boots, because after 11 and a half years of it getting dropped on your head, you're kind of like, okay, that's enough. We're gonna try and do something else, you know.
Are you still a wrestling? Are you a fan? Do you watch wrestling?
Every once in a while, I'll watch it. You know, I'll watch some stuff on the internet and watch some old matches and things like that. And and just go, oh yeah, and ooh, that hurts.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
But then
Also, a comic book writer now too, which is amazing. So the Last Spartan Red Tape is
yeah,
available now, and Tyler has paired up with Christopher Priest, who comic book fans are well aware of. He's written Batman in the past. He had an incredible run a couple years ago on Deathstroke. I think I probably have a few volumes there behind me on the shelf, but a great comic book writer. What led you into this, the combination with Christopher Priest, and what can you tell us about the Last Spartan Red Tape?
yeah. The Last Spartan came across my desk. It was originally a novel by John F. Saunders, and it came across my desk probably 15, 18 years ago now, and I always wanted to do something with it, and I was like, okay, let's try and turn it into a feature or something like that. But then I was talking with David Hayter and Tom DeSanto just recently about it, and they go, man, you've got the perfect pipeline for doing something like a comic book or a graphic novel. Because my wife, Renee Geerlings, used to be the editor-in-chief at Top Cow Comics.
Wow.
So I was like, hey, this kind of makes a little bit of sense, So I started talking with Renee and said, hey, honey, how would you like to do a comic book?
Yeah.
I want to see if we can do this a comic book, turn it in, create the world. So her and I started developing this world. The Last Spartan Red Tape is about an ex-motorcycle enforcer that steps away from the biker club and has to go and save a young girl from the underbelly of Atlanta and the seedy life of human trafficking. So that's basically what we wanted to do, and just explain how the technology that is being used these days to lure the young people in, and we wanted to get it as correct as possible. So we were researching this for quite a while, talking with Christopher Priest, and developing the story and the characters so that we could carry on and keep it going on. And through the research that we did, I decided I wanted to give something back, and I was checking into these different organizations, and I came up with Deliver Fund, which deals with the technology for law enforcement to catch and locate these guys. So what we do is a portion of every book sales that we have, a portion of the proceeds goes to deliverfund.org to help put an end to human trafficking. And now we have the two different, this is the soft cover, which a Mark Silvestri cover, and this is the homage Halloween cover that is the hardcover. And both of these are available online at thelastspartan.com. So, you can either go to your local comic book shop, or if you want to just stay on your couch, just go to thelastspartan.com and order your copies, and you're helping put an end to human trafficking. You're going to get a great read.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, we'll put the link in here as well, so everybody can click on that and buy your copy of it. Is there plans to maybe turn this into a series or a movie, or are you guys content right now with the comic book?
Yeah, we're working on more issues. Hopefully more issues are going to be coming out. But what I would love to do is turn this into a ongoing series, turn it into a TV series, so we can raise more awareness, because it is a serious situation. Like, I go to all these conventions and talk about the book and stuff like that. And through my travels, just about at every convention, there's either one or two or three, four people that human trafficking has affected their lives. Either they're a first responder and dealing with it, seeing it firsthand and seeing how it's destroying people's lives, or it is people that it's touched their families, which is kind of sad to see. But it's like, I think it's about 80% of the human trafficking is done by Americans in America. So it's happening in our own backyards, and we don't even realize it.
What's the feedback been like so far from people that have read it?
Oh, amazing. We're getting some really great reviews in, 9.2, 9.5 out of 10s, so I couldn't be more happier. It's because Christopher Priest guided the story. Like I say, we've got the Mark Silvestri cover. Interior art is Will Conrad, Jimbo Salgado, Michael Montanat. All these guys have done like X-Men, G.I. Joe, Red Sonja. I mean, it is all top tier, and the book is high quality, and it is dealing with a subject that everybody can read and talk to their family about, to raise awareness that it is a situation that we need to put an end to.
For sure.
Yeah.
I got another couple quick questions for you before we get you out of here.
And I got one more too.
All right.
Fire away.
This is one that here's a question that only Tyler can answer. Who wins a fight between Sabretooth and Michael Myers?
Well, I'm winning either way, right? I mean, I'm kicking my own ass.
Yeah, you are.
So, that's a tough one.
But Michael Myers can't really die, I guess. So maybe it would have to be
Neither can Sabretooth.
Yeah, neither can Sabretooth. So,
I guess you're right.
Maybe it's like a standstill. Yeah.
Draw. It's just a draw.
Well, I will say it makes sense because Ajax fought Hector, the greatest Trojan hero, to a standstill, and they actually gave each other gifts in the Iliad. That's how well respected.
Oh, good lesson there. Thank you.
There you go.
That's good.
Yeah,
classic lesson.
I wish it would have ended that way in the damn.
Me too.
I guess somebody had other plans.
Yeah. So my question is again, absolute unicorn of a guest for what it is that we do. So like comic books, comic book movies, wrestling, classics, and like horror. Like, so who are the fans that give you not the most trouble, but the fans that are like have the most to say at all these cons? I know you do a lot of cons and stuff. So like which fandom like comes at you and is like has the most feelings about your work? Positive or negative?
Yeah.
That is hard to say. I mean, people like the Halloween fans, for a while there were dogging, Rob's versions of the Halloween and stuff like that. But what they got to realize is Rob's Halloween held the Labor Day box office record for 14 years, guys.
Yes.
14 years.
No, I was there. I was there.
We were there, and we are probably two of the biggest defenders of those movies.
Yeah, and I love when I get people come up to me and they go, "Wow, we should have given yours a better shake after seeing some of the." I'm like, I'm not. I mean,
I'll put the hands up too. I'm not saying
it is what it is, but they go, "Wow," So I think some fans have come for full circle on those, I mean, I just love meeting fans of the X-Men and Sabretooth, and everybody said, like you guys, they saw Sabretooth come back on screen and he got the pop, and then he's gone, and they're like, "Oh, you should have lasted longer." And I say, "Hey, I got paid the same either way, I didn't have to do all the work."
It's all good. Yeah. Wow. We didn't even.
Like I said, you guys are paying me, right?
I'm out. I'm gone. But yeah, you also had a spot on Doom Patrol. You were in Jupiter's Legacy. So the comic book role, I mean, you're pretty familiar with. That's for sure.
Yeah. Jupiter's Legacy, Black Star. That is by far one of my favorite characters. He's just such a badass. Takes on the whole Utopian, and then he's got this softer side where he's reading romance novels with reading glasses. And I'm like, and I was talking with the producers of that. They were planning on, doing several more seasons, and they were going to get into Black Star's backstory the next season. So I was like, oh, that would be cool, but wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, you never know with Netflix. I feel like some shows just keep going forever. Other shows are one and done. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. Very last thing for you, because it is Dorktober, a lot of horror movies. Do you have a favorite one or two horror movies, either ones that you're in or ones that you're not in?
Well, definitely my Halloweens, but my favorite is Jaws. I can watch Jaws a million times. Like I saw that when it first came out in theaters way back when. That's dating me. But after seeing that, I was afraid to go in the bathtub for 2 weeks, You know, still won't do a cruise.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. No chance. Well, this was great. I appreciate this so much. TheLastSpartan.com. If you guys want to go to that website, order The Last Spartan red tape, get one or both. Get both. Look at that. You get the hardcover, the soft cover. Both.
A lot of people can get both, and portion of the proceeds goes to a great cause, helping put an end to human trafficking. We're helping deliverfund.org do their thing. So I would greatly appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Davey. Anything else?
No, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a half hour. This has been great. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Tyler.
Stay safe.
You too.
The Hashtag Dork Podcast.